All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to HCC Live,
Welcome back. Episode 3.
episode 3, and we've doubled our market.
Yes, we
We're
have.
now on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes, we are.
What's next?
Uh, I think if we can dance a little bit, maybe a TikTok video.
There you go. That wouldn't be
I
bad.
know the craze is TikTok right now, so maybe we do a TikTok video soon.
My name's Kevin Crawford. I'm the Director of Admissions and Enrollment Management here at Hagerstown Community College.
My name is Mike Martin. I work as the Director of Advising and Registration, and it's great to be back again. It's a topic near and dear to my heart tonight, transfer.
Yeah, and if you've missed our first 2 episodes, the first one we talked about admissions and basically the whole processes of going from I'm a prospective student all the way through registering for classes. And then last week we had Stephanie Latinicus join us. We talked a lot about financial aid.
Yes.
45 minutes of financial aid. We had a blast.
It's a lot.
doing it. And then this week, of course, it's going to be talking about transferring from HCC to another college university or transferring from another college university to HCC. We're going to try to touch base on all that.
Before we get started, though, this is a special week here at Hagerstown Community College. This is the week that normally it would be very busy with tons of commencement and graduation type ceremonies. And, if you have a chance, I know you're hopefully watching us tonight with this transfer session, but go to Hagerstown Community College Instagram page, Hagerstown Community College Facebook page, and look at the videos and the tributes that are out there to our graduates. It's a touching week. It's something I know it hurts sometimes for those that are potentially looking forward to walking across the stage this Saturday. But we do have some good tributes out there. I know I can speak for you, and I think I can speak for all of us that work here at Hagerstown Community College, faculty, staff, administration. It hurts us too. It hurts us not to be able to share all this with you this week, but there are some great tributes out there that if you get a chance, watch them. They're very touching.
Yeah, it's your favorite week
It's
of
my
learning
favorite
here,
week. You
'cause I
got
know
it.
you love it, and we both walked across the stage here at HCC
Yeah.
as graduates. So tremendous, basically, great week here. And also, just as a reminder, our classes and labs are all online for the summer semester. For the fall semester, it's our hope that we can get back to as normal as possible. But we don't know yet. We still have to follow the governor's orders. So, we've had some talk this week, and we're very hopeful that the fall semester will look semi-normal. It may be some lecture, some online, some hybrid, but we'll have to wait and see on that. We know some of our community may not feel comfortable coming back to campus yet. Just know we're going to have online courses in the fall semester as well. We want everyone to feel comfortable and be ready to take some classes with us. This fall is going to be tremendous fall semester here at HCC. We're all going to be geared up for it, and I can't wait.
Yes, me neither.
Yeah. So basically this week, transfer. And you and I have a couple different ways we can look at this. Now, we are HCC employees, but we both are HCC graduates and transfer students. And tell what you were telling me earlier about what you were thinking when you came here to HCC.
Well, I was the student in high school that didn't want to come to the community college. I was a student that wanted to go to the 4-year school from the beginning. That was my thought. That was my plan. I was a student athlete in high school, had signed a scholarship to go to a 4-year school right out of high school. Unfortunately, things didn't work out, and the community college became an option. Best thing that ever happened to me. Best experience that I had. If I didn't have that experience, I wouldn't be working here.
Right.
But I came here 2 years, got my degree, was able to transfer to a 4-year school, ended up going to a Maryland public school. I know you went out of state and private, and you can tell your story, but navigated the transfer process without a problem, and ended up getting my bachelor's degree, as did you.
Yeah, and we've talked about this, but I feel I'm smarter than you are because I felt the community college was the best option from the beginning, and I still feel that way. I had my associate, no debt, 2 years of college, debt-free, transfer, get a transfer scholarship where I went to Bridgewater, which when I graduated from Smithsburg, I looked at Bridgewater, but they weren't giving me anything. So keep in mind, I would have went there and borrowed for 4 years, but instead, based on what I did here, they gave me one of their scholarships to cover half my tuition there. So I made out pretty well. Once again, maybe a little bit smarter than
You
me
know
in that
something. You
area.
know something else that wouldn't have happened if you didn't come to Hagerstown Community College.
What?
Those of you that don't know, this was Farm Boy on the radio.
Yeah, that was my
Farm
internship. You're
Boy
exactly right. I had a
for Mix
tremendous
95
internship. That's
back in the
great.
day. So
So let's talk about transferring. And we know that some of our 2020 high school graduates have some tough decisions in front of them. Most of the four-year university deposit dates have been moved to June the 1st, typically May the 1st, and some kept a May the 1st deadline, but most have moved to June 1st. So now
that's coming up.
I'm a high school senior, and I'm looking forward to, I'm thinking of going to XYZ University. I've brought up that college every session so far. But I don't know if I want to make that deposit because the fall semester may be online and I'm going to pay $30,000 to do online classes.
Yeah.
Maybe I can start locally here if I'm a Washington County resident, do my first year for about $4,000 and then transfer out. So that's a tough decision. We know a lot of students are having right now, and we just want you to know Hagerstown Community College is a great place to start. We've worked with students over the years that look at a community college like, it's the 13th grade. Well, if that's the 13th grade, I was proud of it. It's probably the toughest year of school that I've had. And when I got to the 15th grade, which is transferring to Bridgewater, that was a little bit easier for me because of the 13th and 14th grade. But a lot of us at community colleges get frustrated with that of, it's not a real college.
Yeah.
And you can talk about the accreditation part and how all that works.
It is frustrating. It is frustrating to hear sometimes that students settle for us. And I don't think students are settling for us at all. I feel like, it's a great experience with faculty. The learning is incredible. I can tell you, we've had data that has been shared with us that a lot of our graduates that go into four-year colleges after this actually do better. The GPAs are actually better than the native students that are there in the third and fourth years of college. So there's no doubt that Hagerstown Community College and community colleges in general prepare students to be successful. I wanted to throw out that, tonight we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram. We encourage questions. We know that there's going to be a lot of questions. Even if you're watching this and it's not live, you can ask questions and we'll make sure we respond to your the questions that you do have. Recently, and I know this will be posted on our website, we have frequently asked questions that are out there. Our transfer website does give everything that we're going to talk about. You can go on there and have a lot of the questions answered. Our advising staff's very capable of talking about transfer, all of our advisors. Specifically want to mention Chris Baer, who's our registrar. He plays a huge role with the transferring in process. Yes. Chris has been a transfer advisor, does a great job in what he does now as the registrar. Mark Adelsberger, who's our transfer advisor. As I mentioned, all of our advisors can handle transfer type questions, but Mark is our transfer advisor that coordinates a lot of the things that we do on campus that has to do with transfer. So I wanted to give a shout out to both Mark and Chris for their roles on campus here as well.
And in looking at the transfer, for me and my team of what we do in the high schools, I'm proud that over the last few years, we're having students who attend here who are top of their class.
Yeah.
They're top 5, top 10, because they know that this is a great deal. Some families want prestige of a college. Well, I'd rather take psychology and not have to be in debt because of it too much, where I can take it at a community college. It's the same thing that you're going to take at Virginia Tech or WVU or Maryland or wherever. That's the type of thing we really want families to know. And a lot of that starts because of our accreditation.
Well, I wanted to talk about accreditation too. And there are folks, we're blessed to have a lot of our faculty and staff that get on and watch these sessions and can answer questions that may be out there as well. I know that we have some advisors that are out there. So if you do post questions and we answer them, there might be some answers to questions out there as well. I know we got a question coming in right now, and I'll talk about accreditation soon, but I want to take the question first.
Hi, Mike. Jane wants to know what typically happens when 2 or more classes at HCC do not meet equivalencies at four-year schools that students would like to transfer into. Does that set students back any semesters?
It very well could, but again, this leads me into to questions, and there was 2 big things that I want people to know tonight, and Kevin and I both want people to know when we talk about transfer. And it comes down, and Jane, I'm going to answer your question that by talking about this. There's 2 terms known as transferability and applicability. So the first term is called transferability. That has to do with whether or not a four-year school takes the class in transfer. And there's a big difference between transferring a class and then using it in your program of study. Transferability refers to the fact that, Kevin takes a photography course at Hagerstown Community College and goes to Virginia Tech. Well, Virginia Tech has a photography course, so that's transferable. Whether or not Kevin uses that in his engineering major is another question. I mean, certainly there's no room in an engineering major, as an example, at Virginia Tech to use a photography course. So even though photography would be transferable, it's not applicable. So to answer that question, when you say what happens if there's two classes that aren't that a four-year school isn't taking, if they're not taking them in transfer, then you won't even see them at the next college. And it's rare because of our accreditation, which I'm going to talk about. It's rare because of our accreditation to not find college-level courses that transfer to four-year schools. What is more common is, depending on the major that you pick at the four-year school, is the applicability of those classes in the major that you choose. Now, to talk a little bit about accreditation, I hope that answers your question, Jane. To talk a little bit about accreditation, Hagerstown Community College is accredited through Middle States. There are 6 regional accreditations through the United States. Regional accreditation is what really governs all this.
Yes.
You have to be really regionally accredited for your courses and your credits to be recognized at other colleges.
They make sure we're doing what we say we're going to do. We're
Yeah.
teaching the classes correctly. Our instructors, our professors have
The whole
credentials
college,
they need.
the whole
It
college
is
is operating.
It is looking over everything.
And that regional accreditation is huge. Now, we were talking earlier, Kevin, that and Hagerstown Community College has the same accreditation as Penn State.
Yes.
It has the same accreditation as University of Maryland College Park. We're all accredited by the same regional accrediting agency.
And that's the question. You and your team deal more with transfer than I do, but I oversee the Essence program. I always have questions about transferring, and I have over years talked to specific colleges and universities, and when they reach out to us, they basically say, "You are Middle States accredited, correct?" "Yeah." "Okay, have the student send an official transcript. That
Right.
course is going to come in and count for us."
Right.
But that's the question colleges are going to ask when you're transferring. They're going to say, "Are you transferring from an accredited college or university?" And that is key.
Well, and on the backs of all of our transcripts, it does mention the fact that we're regionally accredited, and that's huge. And again, we're not limited to the region that we're in. You can transfer anywhere in the United States or into any of the 6 regionally accredited agencies, schools in those regions, and still transfer your credits.
Right.
I wanted to go back to the other point. Besides talking about the transferability and applicability, we're going to talk about that a lot more tonight, and a lot of the things we talk about. But the other rule of thumb is something that I think is huge is planning and knowing to answer 2 questions. And I talked to you about, here come the 2 questions.
1, 2.
It is, where are you transferring and what are you majoring in? What are you going to do and where are you going to go? As soon as you can answer those questions, it helps our advising staff and really helps anybody that's working with you here at Hagerstown Community College plan your transfer to the next school.
And that's key, because if you talk to somebody who says, "I went from school A to school B and I lost credits," I guarantee if you follow up the question, "Did you change your major?" They're going to say yes. And that's where credits didn't apply for them. They did transfer, but they didn't apply to them. And that's very important.
Well, and that's what's out there sometimes too. I talk to parents, I talk to students quite a bit. I run into students at the grocery store. I run into them restaurants. We talk about transfer. They have questions. And some people share bad experiences, and it's not really a bad experience when I end up talking to them about the things that happen. The one parent I talked to said that I think their son or daughter was a business major here, and then when they transferred to another school, what you just said, they switched majors. They switched to engineering. And I was like, well, it's not that the business classes didn't transfer. They just didn't plug in.
And you and
to the
I talk
engineering
all the
program.
time about the student who's at a university and changes majors, that university will decline credits from itself based on the program.
And
they
that's
don't
the story.
apply to this program.
That's where you hear students say that I'm on, and I'm not using this, but students will say I'm on the 6-year plan. Well, chances are students that are on those plans have changed their major or changed their minds quite a bit, and the classes that they're taking really aren't counting toward the program of study that they're in.
Let's not, for anyone watching who was like me when I came out of high school and I was like, I really don't know what I want to do. So I can only answer one of your questions. maybe I know where I want to go. Maybe I don't know what I want to do. Wow, what do I do there? Well, your first year of college is you taking your general education courses. They're your core classes, and that's what you're going to start with in any major. And there are courses that transfer very easily and apply for students anywhere. So if you're undecided, don't be thinking just because I couldn't answer those questions, I can't take classes, because we're going to
Yes,
get you
yeah.
started in those core classes that every student basically needs.
It's really important. I always tell students that I work with, and I know our advising staff, when they meet with students, always say, you don't want to be like, if I'm meeting with you today and it's your first year, next year this time we got to be a lot further. We have to know, where are you going, what are you doing at that point. The sooner you know, the better. So besides getting you started in that first semester, we're going to encourage you to start checking into four-year colleges. Go visit on colleges on the days that you can.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have class on a Friday, go visit a college if you can.
Right.
Call them up, ask questions. Certainly our faculty here, our advisors are very capable of answering and helping you get started with a lot of your career choices. But our faculty are experts in their field, and they can certainly talk about the careers that students want to pursue.
On a yearly basis, we have students who will graduate high school and say, hey, I'm going to go to HCC my first year and then transfer out. They know they're going to get those core gen eds. And we'd love for them to stick around and get that associate degree, because it's going to save them money on a second year of college.
Right.
But that's fine. That may be what a lot of students are thinking about. Hey, I'm not quite sure what's happening on the campus of maybe my first choice of a 4-year. Go to Hagerstown Community College. Get that first year under your belt. I think you're going to love it here. I think you're going to stick around and get your associate degree, and then maybe more options will appear that you may have never even heard of before as far as colleges. So think about that. Think about saving some money, doing your gen eds here, doing your first year, then maybe sticking around for the second year.
Right. I want to transition. Again, to hit those 2 points, plan early. Where are you going? What are you doing? And understand the difference between transferability and applicability. That's not to say that it's not possible that a school may not take a college level course and transfer. That's possible, but it's not as common out there. I want to transition a little bit and start to talk. I know we want to get to some things tonight about transferring out of HCC and the whole process that's involved with transferring out. And I figured that'd be a good time to transition for us. So normally when a student wants to transfer out, there's steps involved. Or we'll get emails about, hey, I'm almost done at HCC. What do I need to do to transfer? Where should I start?
Right. And I'll tell you one place that's good to start is our 2 transfer fairs we have every year here at the college. There's one in the fall and there's one in the late winter or spring that Mark puts together. And this year we had the student center full of colleges. These colleges want transfer students. Transfer students are the ones who are going to complete for them. And that's what colleges are graded on. Who's going to complete? And if I have a student who's completed 2 years of college and they're transferring in, I want that student, because it's 2 years for a 4-year and then they're finished. So colleges want transfer students, and that's why they fill up the student center here for us.
At 30 to 40 schools in the fall and 30 to 40 schools in the spring. We also have representatives that come to campus once a month, a lot of times at some of our regional schools. Shepherd, Shippensburg, the University of Maryland.
The reps are like part of our staff.
Yes, they are. They come and they meet with students individually, and they work on that seamless transfer process a lot of times. So there's resources that are there, but the whole part of it is to understand the steps. And we're going to get into the steps in a second, but we do have a question coming in.
Mike, we actually have a question from Lori Montgomery, one of our esteemed
Lori.
here at HCC. Can you talk a little bit about what happens if a student starts at HCC, decides to study elsewhere, but then they want to come back to get that HCC degree? Is that possible?
Yes, and this gets into a little bit about transferring back in. So this is really a transfer out and a transfer in thing. A lot of times what happens, and we see this, and we want to encourage this, a lot of our students get so close to graduating here. We require 60 credits to graduate. That's the minimum. Students might accumulate 50 credits or might accumulate 54 credits, and they're close. And they don't stick around with us, but then they transfer to a 4-year school. And that's fine if we want you to finish, but if you happen to transfer to a 4-year school, we want you to understand the whole idea of what's called reverse transfer. And reverse transfer simply means that if you're at a 4-year school, you can send your transcript back from that 4-year school to our institution, and as long as the classes that you've done at the four-year school meet the requirements for the degree that you have here, we can transfer those credits back. You still keep the credits at the four-year school, but we transfer the credits back, fill them into what the requirements here in the degree programs, and the student still graduates with an associate's degree. But in Professor Montgomery, her question was, well, if they go somewhere, can they come back? They can come back here and finish, but sometimes reverse transfer might be the best option if they have credits that we can use. Now, if there's not, and a student wants to come back and finish, we would welcome them to come back and to bring in those credits. Students have to take at least 15 credits or 25% of their degree program here to earn a degree. So someone that accumulates more than 15 credits that transfers to a four-year school can certainly send transcripts back, fill out the reverse transfer application that is on our website, and we would consider bringing those credits back in to get done.
And that student who's transferring back, on your application to the college, you'll select you're a transfer student, and the acceptance letter you receive will have specific instructions that we need official transcripts from the colleges you've attended sent here, and the transfer evaluation request form to be filled out. That lets our registrar know you want your credits evaluated for a specific major so that he can apply them to see where you're standing. So if you are transferring back to HCC, official transcripts, when you apply, you are a transfer student. You're transferring credits to HCC, and then you want to do that transfer credit evaluation form.
Yes, definitely.
That's what we call it, our TER form.
Our TER form, TER.
That's very important. So anyone who's looking to transfer credits in, the TER form is what lets us know what you want to transfer in and what you want to look at.
You got it.
All right.
Get back to the whole part of transferring out. We were talking about the steps involved. One of the big things, besides doing the planning and meeting with the reps and stuff like that, one of the things you need to do is to complete a transfer application. And when you complete a transfer application, a lot of times the question we'll get is, do I have to have it done by a certain time? A couple terms that you'll see a lot of times with transfer applications out there. You'll see something that's like colleges and universities will have deadline admission, and they'll also have what's called rolling admission. Deadline admission is where students have to apply by a certain date if they want to go to that school in the next semester. You want to go to the University of Maryland College Park in the fall, you can't apply at any point. You actually have to apply by a certain date. If you don't apply by that date, you're not going to be able to go there in the fall semester. Likewise, there's what's called rolling admission. Rolling admission means four-year colleges and schools will continue to accept you as long as there's space available. So you could apply in June, you could apply in July, you could apply in August, as long as there's space available and that they accept you. So you definitely want to pay attention to the whole idea of deadline admission versus rolling admission when it comes to the application.
And the question I get a lot, because Heido and Justin and myself working with the Essence program, is we're getting early to college students now who are finishing high school with 15, 18, 21 credits in the Essence program, and they'll say, if I head somewhere else now, am I a transfer student there, or am I a freshman student there?
Yeah.
And it is a specific credit.
So a couple things. To transfer at minimum, you need a 2.0 usually to transfer to a four-year college. They're not going to take you unless you have a 2.0. Some programs at four-year colleges may require higher GPAs. A lot of times engineering programs, education programs will require higher GPAs, 3.0s, 2.75s to actually get into those programs. The other thing that plays a role in transfer, whether or not you just said it, whether or not you're a freshman when you apply or whether or not you're a transfer student, has to do with the number of transferable credit hours that the school is going to take. A lot of times those transferable credit hours usually represent 1 year. So it's sometimes 24 credits, sometimes 30 credits, depending on the school. But if you're over that number of transferable credit hours, then you're considered a transfer applicant. If you're under that number, like you were just saying, if someone's at 15 or 18 credits, you're still applying as a freshman at that school with advanced standing, but you're still in that pretty competitive freshman applicant pool where you're still submitting high school transcripts, SAT scores, ACT scores, everything that is involved with what high school students have to submit. Once you get more than the 24 or 30 transferable credits, you're in a separate applicant pool. And sometimes that applicant pool, you don't have to submit your high school transcripts, your SAT scores. So we encourage students to get through that first year. In fact, I've had situations, Kevin, where students will apply and they won't be accepted to a 4-year school out of high school. And they're told, hey, come to HCC, come to us. Once you get more than, say, 24 or 30 credits, apply again.
Yes.
And at that point, they're in a different applicant pool. They're not competing with all the freshman applicants
Right.
at that
And
point.
that's a very
I think
good
we got a
point.
question coming in here as
Yeah,
well.
Mike, we have a really good question. If a student, say a high school student, recently took a advanced placement exam.
Yes.
They haven't gotten the scores back yet, but they do want to register for fall classes. Should they do that now or should they wait?
That is a wonderful question. I don't know who asked that
That's
question,
great.
but that is a great question. It's something that we deal with all the time.
AP or IB, really.
Yeah, AP or IB. And actually, it was funny. I had that same question. I was working with a student today, a student and his mom today on the phone, and this very topic came up. So it's a great question. There's a couple things you can do. I mean, at this point, depending on what the AP test is, I would always tell a student to plan around that. So if someone took an AP psych test and was waiting on the scores, they don't come out until July. So one thing we would do is we wouldn't schedule a psych class for the fall. We would wait to see how you did, and then that way we don't have to change your schedule around.
But
Same
we
thing
tell
with,
students as soon as they get that score,
to
you
send it
got to
to
let
us.
us
Yes.
know, because if
Yes.
you got a 2 on your psych and you want psych, we can add it to your
Yes.
schedule. If you got a 3 or so, hey, you got credit
Yeah.
there, let's get another class in its place possibly.
Students can also, if it's an English or a math, you certainly can schedule the English or schedule the math. The only caution that I would throw out there with that is, as a student, as Kevin just mentioned, if you pass it, you have to change your schedule. You have to come in and let us know, and we have to alter it. Someone, as an example, and I always like to use examples when I talk. I think it helps.
Yes.
But let's say someone had AP English Lang, and they were taking the test, and they went ahead and scheduled English 101 for the fall, which you can do. The only problem is, if you pass the AP English test with a 3 or better, you have to change your schedule around. And sometimes changing your schedule around in July or August is tough, because classes start to fill up and close.
Right.
And the other thing that could happen, and I've seen this is why I caution people or caution students that do it this way, is they forget to come back and change their schedule, and then they end up taking English 101 when they've already earned the credits.
Right.
Now, you hope that doesn't happen, and you think maybe, this doesn't happen, but it does. So 2 things you could do. You could either schedule the class that you had the AP in, knowing that if you passed it, you had to change your schedule, or what I would probably recommend is you just avoid those type classes, the Englishes and the maths, if you can, until you get the scores. And then you can always push that course off to the spring if you didn't pass the test.
And we take a score of 3 or higher on AP exams, and
Yes.
if you get that 3 or higher, we need the official copy from the College Board just to give you credit. So make sure you get your official copy sent.
The one thing, there's a question, I want to come back to this, but we'll go ahead and take the question first. I know it's critical.
Mike, Anna wants to know if we are still accepting IB credits, even though external exams were canceled.
So what I would say to that, we would need to, at least if I didn't know about the exam. Kevin, you might know about the exams.
I didn't know the IB exams were canceled. That's news to me. But what usually happens is, when students take those exams, get the credit, we have a site we can log into to access the scores. So it may be us reaching out to the schools locally that offer IB, but I know, like advanced placement, they're still doing the exams. Students have that opportunity, but that's the first I'm hearing about IB. So that's just something we're going to have to follow up with. And if you kind of reach out to us, we'll be happy to give you an answer.
Yeah, and again, our minimum scores are 4s and 5s on the IB exam.
Yes.
I wanted to, before we get to the next question, I did want to put this out there though too. AP exams are always interesting, because here at HCC, I know we take 3s or higher and give credit. And I know the question sometimes comes up in transfer, will the 4-year school take it? And a lot of times 4-year schools may not have different score requirements. We may say that we give 3 credits of psych for a 3 on the AP psych test, but a 4-year school, XYZ University, might require a 4 or 5 to give the credits. And it's like, well, if I get a 3 on that test, what happens then at the 4-year school? Well, if a student earns an associate's degree here and they transfer, typically the school will honor that at least in Maryland, they have to honor that requirement. Although if they require the four or higher at the other school, they may not give you credits for it. So you may meet the requirement and not get the credits. So it's a little complicated with that. Certainly, we'd be happy to answer any other questions involved with AP or IB, but I think we got another question.
Yes.
We actually have multiple questions.
Okay, wow.
We must be doing okay then, or maybe not, I don't know.
Kevin, here's a question for you. If an Essence student is interested in taking a summer start class that starts on May 26th,
Mhm.
and there are openings in the class, can they still do that?
Yes, they can, and we have all of our early to college, the program runs through the admissions office, so you would apply to the college, there's a part of the application where we'll see that you're an early to college Essence student. As we mentioned in the first series, if you have a 3.0 high school GPA, get us a transcript, you're ready to register, you would just contact us in admissions and we would help you get registered. If you don't have that 3.0 or you don't meet one of the multiple measures of having the SAT or ACT or PARC scores if you're a Washington County student, we would have you take your placement test remotely now as we're doing, and then you would be able to register for classes. So 25% tuition discount for the summer semester. We welcome all of our early to college students to do summer classes. It's a great semester for you to get a little bit ahead.
Well, definitely.
So you can have some credits
Definitely.
already there for you. So we have quite a few students in years past who've used the Essence
I've
program.
always
for
told
summer.
students that if they can do classes in the summer, it lightens the load of what they really have to do in the fall.
Yep.
And learning never really stops.
Yep.
So one thing I wanted to throw out too, with going back to the AP, the IB, when students transfer out from Hagerstown Community College or any college of that matter, you always have to remember that you have to order transcripts, official transcripts to be sent.
Yes.
And with IB and AP and IB, you always have to make sure you go to the original source of where you got the credits. So even though we might transfer in your AP credits here, when you transfer to XYZ University, not only do you have to send a transcript from Hagerstown Community College to that next school, but now you have to also go back to the College Board and you have to submit your official AP scores and IB scores from there to the next school. We will not automatically forward those College Board transcripts.
And that's for those of you possibly watching who want to transfer to HCC for our nursing program, our dental
Yes.
hygiene program, our
Yes.
radiography program, our LPN program. We require all the transcripts from every college you've attended, because if you
And also the College Board and also any place you've earned credits.
We can see on like your Shepherd transcript, we can see that they transferred credits from another school, but we need that official transcript in. So that's a very good point.
Another question.
Yeah, Mike, Humira wants to know if taking English and math placement tests will give them credits for the respective subjects here at HCC.
It's a great question, Humira, and the answer to that is no, you don't get credits for taking placement tests. Placement tests, well, we use the AccuPlacer placement test here at HCC. Placement test is to just give us an idea of placement, where you should start. But placement tests will not give you credits for college.
But if I want credits out of that, I can take the CLEP exam.
Yes.
And the CLEP exam, CLEP, CLEP is an exam that's recognized nationally and will transfer credit, that I can take an exam and try to get credit for that class. And it's a very challenging exam. You pay a fee to take that exam. But if you're ever looking for, hey, I think I know history.
Yeah.
I want to take the CLEP exam. If I pass that, I can earn 3 college credits.
Yeah. And again, transferring, you have to make sure you send that
official CLEP score wherever
Yes,
you're
you got
going,
it.
because
You
you're
got it.
taking credit there.
Kevin, we have a question about a prospective international student wanting to know if international applications are still being accepted since visa issuing is canceled. Are we still able to issue I-20s?
We're still accepting it, but I-20s are really tough to do right now. So we'll work as much as we can with you to see if we can get you through that process. But we're at a standstill for some of those things right now. So please reach out and work with us individually. Luis Flores in our admissions office is fantastic at working with our international students. He is very knowledgeable with what he does. We hope to work with you and hope to be able to get you your I-20 so that you can attend HCC if it's on an F1 visa. But just reach out to us so we can work with you, but things are kind of at a standstill right now.
Mike, another question. Does a student's SAT score take the place for placement exams?
Yes. Actually, the answer to that is yes. There's a whole portion on our new student tab on our website that explains the process of getting started at HCC. I can't remember the specifics.
Future student step 3.
Future student
Yep.
step 3. that'll talk about placement testing here on campus and exemptions that would exempt you from not having to take the placement test.
Let me go over them here.
Do
If I
you
can
know 'em?
remember them.
Yes,
So
see if you got 'em.
SAT, if you have an SAT math score of 530, you're exempt from the math placement exam. SAT evidence-based reading and writing 480, you're exempt from the placement test. ACT scores of 21 in English and math. If you've passed the college level English or math course, we need those transcripts to get you out of placement tests. If you've taken the PARC exams here locally in Washington County Public Schools, a score of 750 in PARC Algebra 2 or 750 in English 10 or 11, get those scores to us so we can exempt you from placement tests. It's very important.
Again, it doesn't give you credits, but it exempts you from
It
placement
exempts
tests,
you.
and we can actually start. Kevin, I think we talked about this the first week as well. A 3.0 GPA
is
would
the
also
easiest
exempt
one.
you.
It's good for 5 years for high
yes.
school graduates.
Yes.
Okay, so 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Is that right? 16, 17, 18, 19. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There we go. That's, you know.
That was pretty good. You remembered all those.
I'm hurting your Kevin's in the honors program, Phi Theta Kappa rule here.
Another question.
Mike, can you talk a bit about students at other colleges that want to transfer into HCC and what they have to do?
Yes, sure. And Kevin hit on it earlier a little bit. And transferring to HCC, obviously you fill out the application. It's critical if you're transferring in here to list a program of study or a major, and you want to make sure that major is correct. But you have to, we had just mentioned, you have to bring in all your transcripts from all the colleges that you've attended, and they have to be official. The transcripts can be unofficial for us to advise you. Like if you bring me an unofficial transcript, I can actually look at the unofficial transcript and make some good determinations on classes that you can get started with while you're working on getting those official transcripts sent. We talked about it earlier. Our TER form, transfer equivalency request form, would need to be completed. That's usually done in our advising office. And the transfer equivalency request form actually verifies the program of study that you want to do so that we are doing an evaluation on the correct program. And it'll also list the colleges that you've attended so that we know what transcripts to expect and which ones we're going to be evaluating. Once the transcripts arrive, once the transfer equivalency request form is done, it usually takes about 2 weeks before you'll receive something from our records office, our registrar, about the transfer credits that would come in. And understand that only the classes in your major that will be brought in that apply to that major.
Yes.
You could have 60 or 70 credits. We're not going to bring in 60 or 70 credits. We'll only bring in the credits that apply to the program of study that you're following.
And most transcripts now are sent electronically. So if you're looking to send a transcript from wherever to HCC or HCC somewhere else, it's going to be sent electronically. If you decide I'm going to be the person to take the transcripts to that college, do not open them. And we see that every once in a while. A student will open it because they want to see their transcripts. That makes it unofficial. If you bring it to us, we have to say this is unofficial. We need another official transcript. So don't open that transcript. And if you have the option to send it electronically, do it. It's a safe way to do it, and it gets to us quickly.
Yeah, and it's not that we don't believe people, but it becomes unofficial at that point. Unfortunately, there's probably folks out there that will doctor up a transcript.
It's back to the accreditation thing. We're supposed to do what we're told to do, and we can't accept transcripts that are open. If we are, we're doing things illegally, and that's against the accreditation. Yeah. That's why Middle States accredit us. We follow the guidelines.
You got it. Another question.
Mike, Ben would like you to speak on, for athletes, on the CLEP exam. He explains that the CLEP exam can be a major factor for some athletes that have eligibility remaining.
Yes. Eligibility remaining. Okay, so I don't know about that. What I can talk about with athletes, because we've had a number of athletes that actually take the CLEP test. It's a way. Understand that any CLEP test taken does not count as credits in a given semester. So if an athlete's taking 9 credits, they can't take a CLEP test and say they're at 12. CLEP test, because there's no grades with AP, there's no grades with IB, there's no grades with CLEP. CLEP credits can count as C's or better, or it counts as a C when we factor it into eligibility. So Kevin takes a CLEP test in psychology and passes it. We can award 3 credits of C when we talk about eligibility for athletes. But you can't take 2 classes and then take 2 CLEP tests and say that I'm eligible by having 12 credits. That doesn't work.
Right.
Yes.
Mike, what are the maximum number of credits that can be transferred to a 4-year school?
It's a great question, and whoever asked that's a wonderful question. The most of the time in the state of Maryland, if it's 120 credits, when we look at the maximum credits for a bachelor's degree, 120 credits is usually what's required for a bachelor's degree. In the state of Maryland, they're only required under COMAR regulations. We haven't even talked about COMAR tonight. COMAR stands for Code of Maryland Regulations. According to COMAR, 4-year schools only are required to take half of a bachelor's degree, so they will only required to take 60. Most 4-year colleges, however, will take up to 70 in transfer. There's even some, I know that there's some schools that will take 72. Some may take more than that, although it's rare. The reason that they won't take more than, say, 70 is because a lot of times in that 120 credits that you need for a bachelor's degree, there's a certain number of upper level credits that are required to graduate. And when I say that, lower level classes that are at community colleges are 100 and 200 level courses. At 4-year schools, you'll find 300 and 400 level, or what we call junior senior courses. Yes. And 4-year schools will require you to have anywhere from 35 to 45 credits of upper level classes. Right. Plus, you're going to find that a lot of your major classes are at the 300 and 400 level at the 4-year school. So really, you don't want to go over 70 credits when you're here, and that's usually the threshold of what a lot of 4-year colleges will take.
And you touched on junior, senior level, and if we talk about where our students transfer to, I will put a plug out for University System of Maryland at Hagerstown. Yeah. For those of you who aren't aware, here in Hagerstown it's USMH, and they offer the junior senior of 4-year degrees.
And they don't offer the 100 and 200 level courses.
So
junior senior courses.
We and Frederick Community College and really Carroll Community College feed students there. So our local students who really want to go through with a very inexpensive bachelor's degree, 2 years here, 2 years there, and there's your bachelor's degree. And that's them offering that junior and senior.
Yeah. You know, the other thing that sometimes I always like to try to throw things out, questions that I get that are common. The other thing with the University System of Maryland, a lot of folks out there may think it's the University of Maryland, period. And it's not. It's the University System of Maryland Center, which is basically a collaboration of University of Maryland schools, which when we say University of Maryland schools, University of Maryland College Park, University of Maryland Baltimore County, Towson, Frostburg, Salisbury, all those schools, University of Maryland Eastern Shore, these are all schools that are part of the University of Maryland system. So our system center downtown may be called the University System of Maryland Center, but as an example, Frostburg offers their education and psychology programs there.
Towson offers programs.
Salisbury offers their social work program.
University of Maryland Eastern Shore, University of Maryland Global Campus.
There's not all their programs. It's only a select number of programs by a select number of universities. Right. I think there's 5 undergraduate universities that offer programs.
And our students can transfer anywhere. Please understand that. We do a lot of outreach in Pennsylvania and West Virginia, and questions we get from our neighbors in like Franklin or Fulton County is, well, I'm going to a Maryland school. Well, my credits, they just stay in Maryland, right? I mean, I know you have a list. I have a list of students. I've worked with students who've taken our credits to Stanford, to the University of Hawaii, Georgetown, you name it. They went there. But we talk a lot about who we work with a lot. We work with the Maryland schools a lot. We work with Shippensburg a lot. We work with Shepherd a lot. Shepherd and Shippensburg have some nice.
They're common. That's where most of our transfer students go.
Yes.
And the other thing we haven't even talked about yet tonight either, and we probably won't get into much detail, it's on our website, is about our dual admission, dual enrollment type programs, our 2+2 programs, articulation agreements that we have out there, the course equivalency databases. They're all on our website. What Kevin was just talking about, what I want to make sure you guys are aware of as well, is just because a school may not have a dual admission program with us, just because we may not have a 2+2 with a school, just because you don't see the course equivalency database, doesn't mean that you can't go to that school. These are just resources and things that these schools have with us to make it easier to transfer. But if someone came in and said, hey, I want to do marine science at Coastal Carolina, we certainly can work with students and make sure. The only thing that may factor in there is that we always encourage, we can't, as a community college, we can't tell a four-year school that they have to take a credit a certain way. It's going to be up to them. So in doing that, we want to make sure that we're encouraging students to contact those four-year colleges and work with those transfer people in advance. We provide the path and what we think, but ultimately they can confirm that. So
and it makes it easy if a student comes in, where do I want to go? If they know from the start that I want to go to Mississippi State and they come in to see advising, your staff can sit down and start looking through the curriculum there to match things up. Yeah. Once again, accreditation here, Mississippi State doesn't teach history or psychology any different than we do. It's the same type of thing. It's going to match up. Yeah. But we need to make sure the classes you're taking are going to be applicable to your major. So just keep that in mind.
There's that transferability and applicability.
Your credits can go anywhere. And if you want to go, overseas, there's a process to send transcripts through evaluations that will kind of translate into where you're going. We have students coming all the time, and they have their transcripts looked at through World Education Services, and it lets us know what the equivalent is for that class to bring in as a transfer. So.
Kev, the one thing we talked about this week, if there are students out there that are potentially thinking about going to a four-year college right now, and they're debating, should I come back to HCC or not? And, they're looking at the finances of it, and a four-year school could have given them a financial aid package, and they're wondering, I wonder what that would look like if I come to HCC. Our financial aid office can actually give you an estimate or idea if you include our school code that we can download your FAFSA to kind of give you an idea of what it would be here. And it's definitely more affordable, but the one thing is, if you make that decision to come back to HCC and not go to the school in the fall, you definitely want to make sure you cancel your aid package at that four-year school so that we can actually award the financial aid here.
And phone and email and text message traffic is really picking up for us of students in that scenario. Look, I'm coming to HCC, and we're proud of that. We're honored to have you here. If it's a parent watching your son or daughter, we'd love to have them here. They're going to love it here at HCC. The diplomas we have hanging in our offices, I'm proud of that HCC diploma more than anything, because it's my hometown community college, and we would be honored to have them here. They're going to be thrilled with the campus. That's what I love about our Essence program. Students are half a day in the high school and half a day here, and after about a month or so, that you see them and like, we love it here. Yeah. This is great. We never realized of what a great campus this is, and it's kind of a drag to go back to the high school to take our classes in the morning, but they get out, they get to see how professors in college, can get to know you a little bit more and can meet with you after class. There's not a bell running your day. There's not a principal in the office or in the hallway with a walkie-talkie. It's kind of more of a laid back, a kind of a more one-on-one with some instructors.
The big thing with this is transfer's not a problem at a community college. It's not. With proper planning, as we talked about, answering those questions, understanding transferability and applicability, some majors are harder than others. When I say harder, I mean more restrictive than others. Some are more flexible.
That's like engineering, education.
They're all very
I was a business
tight.
Major, so a lot of flexibility there. I could have taken, and I did. I took a baseball class here. I took a weightlifting class. It transferred and counted because there was electives there that I could take and fit into a business program. So there's some scenarios there, and you're exactly right about those restricted.
I tell you what, we could probably sit here. I know I could sit here and keep talking.
You probably feel like you're in your garage talking, about.
You know what? I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, there's so much more I want to talk about tonight. But I know we got to respect the time that's out there. We try to keep these things less than an hour. Like I said, we could sit here and talk after this. I got so much I want to talk about right now, but we're going to run out of time tonight.
What are we going to do next week?
Oh, next week. Actually, next week for HCC Live, we'll be back on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to do a TikTok. I don't want to see you dance. So no TikToks for us this week. Next week's going to be preparing for classroom technology. As we get to next Thursday, we're really a few days away from the summer semester starting on May 26th. So we want to make sure that you guys are prepared, that you have your HCC logins to WebAdvisor self-service. You can get into D2L, which is our learning platform, that you can access your email. Technologically, you have to be ready for our classes. The fact that we're offering them remotely and online as we go into the summer.
Even,
so we want to make sure you're ready for that.
Even on a regular semester where I'm taking a lecture course, my instructor's still going to use D2L.
Yeah.
You know, we can still post things. Hey, class, read this article I'm posting. I still need to log in. And if I'm an adult learner, if I'm a high school graduate who's coming to HCC, next week's extremely important for you to join us to find out about this technology, because if I'm in high school or I've been away from school, I haven't had to check all these. But now, to succeed in college, you have to check your email.
Yeah.
You have to be able to go through our self-service to
Yes.
be able to look at your schedule, pay
Yes.
your bill, do this,
Yes.
and you have to know how to do D2L. That is important. So if you're nervous about that, next week's it.
Guess who's joining us? Guess who's joining us next week? We have a guest
How many
next
guesses do I get? Go ahead and tell me.
RJ Lushball, our registration lab specialist, is going to be with us next
right
week.
Here.
RJ is wonderful as far as the technology and what he does to help our students get scheduled and navigate all the logins and things like that. He'll be here to talk a little bit about it. He works really hard in our lab with students. Hasn't been able to do too much in the lab based on us operating remotely, but plays a critical role in helping students get ready for the semester. So we'll have him there next week.
RJ's going to improve the look here between you and I. I mean, that's...
Wait, I tell you what, we always give shout outs usually at the end of these. Again, always big shout outs to Dr. Olgelati, our Dean of Student Affairs, for asking the questions and moderating things for us. Certainly our Learning Technologies Department with Peggy Hudson. And our Public Information Office with Beth Kirkpatrick, Brittany Himber, and we have a
Sarah Moore's birthday.
It's a birthday.
Is that what I heard?
We have Sarah Moore's birthday here, and when we get off of here tonight, we got cupcakes waiting for us. So I know I'm going to eat a cupcake or two, but certainly happy to have them and all the stuff that they do to make this work tonight. Also, we want to give a shout out to Kendra Peacher, who works really hard with answering a lot of the questions and posting a lot of the links for us as well. We're thankful for all the folks. And again, a shout out to everyone else, all staff members that are on Facebook, on Instagram, helping answer questions and supporting this that we do tonight.
We really have the easy part here, Mike. Yeah. And I said it in week one. It's an honor for you and I to represent the campus here, of the faculty, the staff, the students, and be the voices of the college. And for us to be chosen to do this is an honor. And we're hoping that those of you who are watching are learning from this, and it's helpful. And as Mike said, if you're watching this and it's not live, you still can send in questions to us. We're doing the best we can right now. I feel that our team in student services is doing a great job. But for those of you who reached out, it may not be that we send a response within the hour, because I know right now the admissions inbox probably has 50 emails. We have voicemails, and we're responding to them as quickly as possible. And when you send one, you usually get a response right back. So we're doing our best. We thank you for your patience. But we will be in touch with you if you do reach out to us about summer or fall classes.
Yeah. So 2 weeks from now, just a quick plug, we're going to talk about how to succeed once classes start. So we'll be excited to have that. So 2 more parts. We'll do parts 4 and parts 5, and we'll have a good time doing that as well. So we're going to close for now. And again, a big congratulations to any graduates that are out there that are getting ready to transfer. You know, congratulations on your accomplishments. And you know, we're still celebrating you, even though we're not formally on campus celebrating with ceremonies and things like that. We're celebrating you every day in the hard work that you put into your studies here at HCC. So just know that, and we'll see you back next week.
My friend. See you all later.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
I don't know if we're still live or not. I feel like we're
Good job.
I feel like we're news people that are just like having conversations when it goes to a commercial.
Good job, Mike.
Are we
It's
still
fun,
live
isn't
right
it?
now? Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.